So I've been bouncing around this thought that I wanted to do a podcast on. And I worked on writing it out to have a beginning, middle, and end to it. It's a direction I'm taking the podcast because I've always just liked thinking about more philosophical stuff, but I always bring it back to, the practice of immigration law and what it means to me and the things I'm trying to do in life with the immigration lawyer's toolbox and all the things we're doing there and why I even practice or have an immigration practice. And the idea that came about was recently I've been talking with a lot of immigration attorneys. As people watch regularly know, I talk to like 2 to 3 different immigration lawyers a week. I'm just constantly doing that. I probably people think I'm weird or like when I reach out to them on LinkedIn, I'm like, hey, let's have a chat. I saw you have this post or something. They probably think I'm trying to sell them something, which I sometimes probably am, but not very rarely am I trying to sell them something. But it's a consistency I find that people are not able to live the life they want to live in the family aspect and what's called, work-life balance. And it's creating a lot of difficulty for them finding it. And I'm blessed in that I've found it and I've succeeded at it. And it puts me in a position to like see what they're doing and why it doesn't work and maybe why it worked in my case. And what allows me to come here and talk on this podcast and have fun and able to make it all happen. And so I want to talk about these ideas about work-life balance, what that means, what that is, and how I got there. And for me, it just came about an evolution. When I was in law school, essentially, I didn't want to have a family at the time, but I remember going to like events for not immigration lawyers, for general lawyers. And, you go and the big firms and stuff, and you talk to people because they're trying to, get the next class and stuff. And my grades were that good. They're pretty much open house stuff. Anyone could have gone. But I would go there and then they have these successful partners that are rich, had expensive watches and suits. And on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, they had like multiple drinks, already buzzed. They're married, but they're talking to the girls, kind of too friendly style. And it really hit me in a bad way. I'm like, this isn't if this is the goal, this big firm in Century City where they're making a lot of money and they're very famous, if on a Wednesday night, this is how they're acting, that's not how I want to be. And that kind of killed my law school trajectory of wanting to even try to get good grades. Because I'm like, the goal is to do OCI, which is for non-lawyers watching, like to be able to in your second year have such good grades that the big firm is going to pick you up and you get paid a lot of money, this and that. But none of it was enticing to me. So I just set aside all that and went a different path and started studying just other stuff when I was in law school. I just got it done barely. I was not because I couldn't work hard to get better grades. It's just there's nothing there for me. I just need to do the minimum to get past the grades and then take the bar. But what I focused on was not necessarily what I want, but I was realizing what I don't want. And even when I was dating, women and stuff, I had girlfriends when I was growing up. I was learning more and more about what I don't want and don't like. And as I grew older, I realized that the value in life that comes, and not everyone agrees with this, but the value really comes in having a family and having a partner that's really cool with, and raising children, and just having that your parents with you, grandparents, if possible, cousins, and having a really tight bond, close knit relationship you have, and you take all the stuff you've learned in life and the success you had, and try to transfer that to the next generation. The easiest you could do that with are your children. And that kind of is the end be all goal of life, where humans reproduce, we're animals, and just keep generation going. But how do we upgrade and evolve the next generation? That's where the value in life comes on a physical level. And it's kind of transcendent as well, because our lineage has come to you and goes, and there's a bigger thing, that's happening throughout that, which may go into religious kind of sides as it as well. And so I went that direction. I realized if I want to be able to live that life, obviously you have to make money and you want to have a certain standard of living, all that stuff. There's a balance that comes about the work-life balance. And I was in a position where I could maximize on that and take my time and think about it. And not everyone has that position. I've talked to colleagues who had to start later in life for various reasons. For example, one friend I met up with recently, he immigrated at an older age. So he had to play catch up and it was harder. And now he's working really hard and making money, but He's on his treadmill now that can't see his children. It's a story I see regularly. It's one of those things of working at either solo practice or a small firm that's more of a family style firm will allow you that opening to be able to do that work-life balance. But the idea behind work-life balance may be a misnomer because it bifurcates and makes it sound as if they're two different things. For me, I'm at all times thinking about immigration law. When I'm sleeping, when I wake up, in my dreams, it's constant. But for me, that is work and that is life too. I look at immigration, both the aspect of the law and then the aspect of running a firm and managing a team and the relationships that exist there, and in the aspect of the philosophical and the political of what's happening to people in the world. I was discussing, Iran is going through its small scale rioting revolution, whatever you might call it, over the death of a woman who was unjustly killed. And, people might know about it who are in the streets. And it became a thing where if you're Iranian in particular, you have to make your position known on it, go on social media and post what you feel about this and that you support the protesters and all that. And I never did any of that, primarily because I don't think it would do anything. And frankly, by showing public support, it could cause people to want to go in Iran and riot or protest, and they could get hurt by that. And I'm a father of 3 children. I wouldn't want my kids to go protest. It is what it is. Take it as you will. So how could I go out and social media and tell other people to protest? It wouldn't be appropriate if I didn't believe. I don't think protesting does anything. Now, what I do think is if I was a parent there or if I was a young person, I would do everything I could to migrate and immigrate out of that society. Because as it is, it's a failing society. And so you got to get out of it. It's unfortunate to say that my family's from there. I would have loved to be able to visit there. But the way things are going right now, that's a failing society when you kill your own youth and have no future hope. So migration, immigration is so core to that, and it's what makes it so. I'm so passionate about the idea behind immigration because it's the nature of evolution of human beings for search of freedom, search of meaning. It comes from movements, and sometimes even yourself, you have to change things and immigrate and go from one place to the next. So many people, when they go to college, go to a different city to get a different experience, move into a different town to grow. And so that idea of work-life balance doesn't make much sense because, immigration especially is my work. It is my life. As I learn to be a leader in my job position and the community that we're in here, it helps me, in my family, my kids to kind of, and they're really small, they don't really understand it yet, but to position myself, let them know that, dad takes his role seriously in life and he wants to really make a difference. Just coming here, talking these podcasts and trying to think out loud the thoughts that I'm doing will make me a better communicator, hopefully, when they're old enough to understand this stuff and they can watch this stuff to get a better perspective who their dad was. It's recorded and hopefully be there for generations so they can see who John Khosravi was and what he's about. So the work-life balance situation is just to go back to what I'm saying doesn't really fit, is something that's so important. And I think in a sense of being able to, first of all, judge where the values are, what you want to do, and then be able to achieve those. And immigration law, particularly as a practice, is really beneficial for that. For those practicing in removal defense, it's a little bit harder because of the demanding nature of having a target date and a deadline and the huge filings and the motions. But for even those, I found colleagues that are able to make it work. But a lot of it comes on what kind of work environment you have in a firm that, wants you to work like a million cases at once and just driving you crazy and you can't live, or a firm that's, just more reasonable about that. There's different things. And starting your own firm or finding a small group, solo practice you work with or friends you get together in immigration law will allow you to make the living you want and be able to practice those at the same time. Now, I do want to make one note, and I'm sure a lot of other practitioners see this as well. My practice is primarily family and marriage based. The case I handle right now is almost solo. I'm expanding now with the size, so we're going back to handling EB1s, O1s, L1s like I used to. But it got too demanding on my work, so-called work-life balance, that I had to drop those to make it all work. But now that I have more bandwidth with people, we could do stuff like that. But, it's a tragedy that at least once a week I talk with a couple who has reproductive problems and can have children. So the more I become aware of this, I talk about my kids on the show a lot and all that. I'm more and more conscious of how difficult that is for some people to hear because of what they're going through. So my heart goes out to them, but it really is like a serious thing that's plaguing humanity right now. I just see it constantly, and I don't think it just gets enough attention. But like even in those cases, if you are going through a process of mutual fertilization or reproductive health care, you got to have so much extra time and not have a demanding job to be able to adjust to it. So, immigration law, especially if you're small, solo, and you work at a firm that make money, it gives you the opportunity to be able to, do both, like have a flexible lifestyle and search for those things that matter to you. But the work-life balance idea for me, when I think about it more, goes into a couple different spheres that are important. I talked about the family aspect of it, being able to raise your family, which is the most important part. But then there's other parts because there's different levels of meaning as you rise and you go through the what is it called, that pyramid. There's a special pyramid that say like a person at base needs to take care of their basic functions: water, air, food, and then it rises and rises to have a higher level of understanding of the world and peace. The demands, the needs, you get more specific. But aside from having your family, I think there's two different things. There's a family, there's a local community, and then there's a broader range how you connect with a wider audience. So for me, obviously, the family stuff is easy enough to be able to understand. On the community side, I've tried maybe going to neighbors and having like neighborhood watches stuff. I never connected because the people, there's nothing bonding other than a physical location that's close by. But one thing in the last couple of years I started is with the people I deal with on a regular basis. So it could be the gardener, the pool guy, my trainer, I have a tennis coach. I have just different people that typically would just be a transactional relationship, giving more meaning to that relationship because these people are local, they're in my life, and they play a pivotal role. Even though it's small, I have people who come and help clean the house. Try to bond more and be more real with them and understanding with them and flexible with them and having that local relationship with them on the next level outside my family. Even though there may be different levels on the socioeconomic scale in the so-called power position, we're still two people coming together for a shared cause and reciprocation. And so that bond is really important, and being able to talk to each other is really important. So, ideally find some people I can connect with, and sometimes they're more expensive, but at least we can develop a relationship and I can help support them. Because the money that, you pay in that transaction goes to feed them and their family. So it's more than just, something one-off. It's something, if it's repeat, especially, that has a lot of meaning in that person's life, and to think about it. And that value is important to me. It gives me meaning, and it makes my life meaningful to know that, and when Christmas comes, I could give like a Christmas bonus, for example, the women who clean my house. And that means so much to them, and not being stingy about it. So I work in this, work-life balance scheme, so I could help not only my own life, but help the life of others, and be free rolling with that, not being, cheap or stingy about it, because it just gives me more meaning knowing that through this work we do, so many people are fed. Not only is, people will be able to migrate to safety and to be able to evolve to become the person they should be in a better environment, but also the proceeds that come from that help to support people as well. And then there's the third aspect, when you branch out from that or widen the scope of it in the work-life balance, and it goes to the merger of work-life balance. For me, it's our trade that we're in, which is the practice of immigration law, which primarily is other immigration attorneys, but more and more talking with paralegals and people associated with the immigration law field, vendors. As you know, I have sponsors, so I talk with them, get to know them, and I see the work they're doing, how much of an effect it has. But our trade organizations, and one thing I do for those who come to the workshops, to the mentorship groups that we have, you see, I always use the excuse, the lure of, learning an area of law or learning a business practice that could be lucrative and help you out, which it is, and in the near term will help you. But what deeper thing is, we're spending long times there to get to know each other, to have a deeper bond, so we can support each other. Because the way the world is right now, people are so siloed off from each other with the way honestly communications happen with social media, that you can get lost in this black hole of getting only the messages that go to you and detach from everybody else. But when you make it mandatory to see each other in a meeting and preferably see each other in person, and then I come at it with, just speaking openly of who I am, what I am, my successes, my failings, and not being shy or embarrassed about it, and just being open and honest, it opens up the answer we reciprocate. And through that, we develop a bond because we're open to each other and we have something in common to start with, which is the practice of immigration law. And a passion to want to think about this stuff next level, not just making it a 9-to-5 job, but something that's deeper in that, which people who come to these conferences spend so much money and so much time to travel, or cut a part of their day when they cut out a consultation, or do work to come and talk in our group. It shows like a deeper, a search for a deeper meaning, which I think is something that's really lost on our generation. And a lot of the problems we have and the false idols that people have is because this deeper meaning is lost. There was a poll that came out by some university, I think, and Wall Street Journal posted it, and it showed the declining nature in the last 40 years of people's belief in religion and people's belief in having children, a community, all these kind of things. But the one thing that went up is the belief in money and the power that has. And I'm not a person that wants to upend the financial system that we generally have. The financial system we have is pretty corrupt, so it's disgusting. But the basis of it, people's anti-capitalism. Capitalism, free market capitalism, is pretty much the best thing that exists in the world, because it allows each individual to be able to express themselves in the marketplace, to make something of it. All the other systems block you and have a gatekeeper that prevents regular people to be able to rise. And that gatekeeper aspect is really bad. And we have that right now with this format of capitalism, this crony capitalism we have with the way the gatekeepers are set up. And I don't want to go into a conversation of that and lose audience on a topic like that, because I know especially in immigration law, being on that side of the financial spectrum is very popular. But, the capitalist system we have gives me the opportunity to come and just share my knowledge of what I've learned in 10 years, 15 years of hard knocks, and try to find it, what I'm doing, be success at it, and just be like, listen, let's do this and help other people. But that bonding is very important, especially as nowadays, the community groups that we're typically members of, which could have been a church, which I don't go to a church. I do have religious type beliefs, that are, unique to me. I've made my own thing, but, I don't go to a church. I'm not part of any groups. I've tried going to different Rotary clubs and stuff like that. It was usually a bunch of old people talking nonsense. I've gone to lawyer groups, providers and that. Again, a bunch of older guys who just wouldn't even remember my name when I was there. And so I'm like, if these things don't match the way I wanted to, or were told about how I used to, I got to create my own. And right now, we're at a time where institutions are at their lowest ebb, whether it comes to believing in institutions such as newspapers and media, whether it's government, whether it's all sorts of things where we're finding massive amounts of corruption, sexual abuse, crimes going on in different things. People have less trust in them. But that gives the opportunity for new seedlings to grow as these big trees are falling over their own weight, as they've rotted out from the inside, and the extra sunlight and extra water could come to rise. And that's where there's an opportunity for people that have the ambition and the passion for this, and it is part of their work-life balance. Their work is their life, and it falls in that, to be able to grow something. And that's where the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox comes in my work-life balance, because people see, I'm constantly in videos. How do I have time to do this? Well, I do wake up early, and I'm recording this at night. But when you have passion, energy, something, the universe will give you the energy. Somehow with 4.5 hours of sleep a night for the last 8 months, I'm able to do this and have enthusiasm to do it and make things go, because there's just energy that comes with this kind of love and this passion and the camaraderie we have as a practice in immigration law. So kind of going back, I've been trying to think about this idea, and I wrote some stuff. I couldn't create a beginning, middle, end. And tonight I was listening to some podcasts and thinking about what's happening in the world and the change that happened. I touched upon some stuff, especially about the institutions that I discussed a minute ago. And I'm not sure if I'm going to post this one, frankly. I just like was in bed. I'm like, you know what? I have these ideas in my head. Let me put it out there. Hopefully it makes sense. But it's something that I can record me, watch over, do it again. Maybe not at this point. I'll just put it out there. But I wanted to just put it out and refine this idea over and over again. Because I think what I'm saying here, there's something to it, expressing where my values and my meaning comes from, that if fine-tuned will help other people also find that, which I know is the case, because the more I talk about this stuff, the more people contact me, email me, and want to talk with me about it and join groups that we have in Embracer's Toolbox, because they see the underpinning of what I'm trying to create is more than just creating a business practice to make money. It's by creating deep relationships, which at core is what humanity is about. The way we evolve and we're able to come out of what we were, the pre-Homo erectus style, coming to, the version of humanity that we are in, came together because of group dynamics and relationships. And that's the reason why we're able to dominate the planet as it is because of our group work and our teamwork. And it's something that is really something I could see and think about, not because I'm good at it, but because for most of my life, frankly, until a couple of years ago, I was always the lone soldier doing everything myself because I did not know how to participate in a team environment. And now I'm playing catch up to try to do it. When I started my company, and I have my friend, family now. I've never been one with large groups of people because I just don't know instinctually how to hang with that. But now I'm developing the skills, so I'm much more attuned to it because I'm so focused on it. And I realize what I missed out in by not, focusing in on developing deep relationships with other people. I've been playing catch up, but then it becomes more and more satisfying building these relationships. And a lot of times it's hard, whether it's raising a family and keeping, be tired and work and stuff, but keeping the love and passion alive in my relationship with my wife, which is better than it's ever been, with my family, and then having time to do these meetings. And a lot of my mentees contact me when I'm super busy. I have no energy, but I say, no, this person needs some time. They're developing something in their firm. They need, a quick question and being there for them. And although I'm tired, it gives me deep meaning, deep satisfaction. And it's one of the reasons, and the only reason that, frankly, I created the mentorship group that happened this week. It's going to be repeated, is because at the same time, several people asked for mentorship in a really hardcore fashion. They want to just learn this knowledge that I have and share with them. And I learned from them, from the new blood, new thoughts, new ideas that they're bringing. So immediately I said, I don't have time for this, but let's do it, because that's where the meaning comes from. And that's what creates the work-life balance that I appreciate. The friendships that we have from here, that is harder and harder to do as you get out of school. And even with your old friends, you have less and less stuff to bond over, other than, past fun you had or memories you had, where they don't necessarily go continuously. And at the same time, everyone's starting their family, the work, they're detached. Immigration law gives you the ability, this practice, to get friendships to satisfy those needs that exist, and to hold each other and build each other up. So it's a magnificent practice area to have. It really is helpful and supportive of my work-life balance. And my goal is to be able to share that with you, because by able to have this, again, work-life balance in this format that I'm talking about, for me, of my day, but I'm having more and more influence on the practice. But at the same time, it's freed up. And at the same time, my larger immigration law family, and to spend time to do all the things. So with that, I hope that made sense. I think that parts of it did. At least there'll be some ideas that'll cause you to think a little bit. This format, we'll see if this free-flowing, thought-based, philosophical stuff I'm doing will be interesting or not. I know I haven't done things about talking immigration law for a bit, but we'll get back into that as things happen. But hope you enjoyed this. If you had your thoughts on it, your opinions on it, hopefully I didn't offend you or something bad. I don't want to get hate mail. But if you have thoughts, if there's opposition of this stuff too, that's good too, to push me to think. I'm not wed to these ideas. I'm flexible. I'm trying to figure it out. But in this process, hopefully, I share some stuff with you that I've learned along the way. I'm immigration lawyer John Kasravi. Thank you for joining us again on the Immigration Toolbox. Until next one, have a good one.